Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to review another Z-scale model from Marklin. This time is more like of a set, consisting of two different vehicles. The first one is a steam-powered rotary snow plow. However, the steam power only powers the rotor in the front instead of the actual driving wheels, so this is why it has to be pushed by a second locomotive. This specific snowplow type was built by the German company Hinscher. However, there isn't much information on the internet. What I assume is that the snowplow was produced around the Second World War, or maybe even in the 30s. I do not know. There isn't even a proper Wikipedia page, and I could not find an actual classification for this vehicle. However, what I also have seen is that the vehicle was not only used in Germany, but it was also used by the Austrian Federal Railways and probably also some other railway companies. It also has a coal tender, and we'll go into the details of the model later. The second vehicle is an actually pretty kind of unique model, let's say so, because this looks like a freight locomotive, and in the model it's classified as a Class 39. However, from the German railways, I checked at the Class 39, there were different versions of these types of locomotives. One of them was a Prussian version, kind of like from the early 20th century. And there were also other versions which came later from the Deutsche Reichsbahn. However, from the looks of it, and also from the looks from the front actual kind of appearance, this look actually strongly reminds me of a Class 50. But what we can also already see is that it only has 4 driving wheels instead of the 5 driving wheels that a Class 50 should have. So I was thinking, why did Marklin actually think of this? Maybe because of practical purposes, because Z-scale is such a small scale, and maybe because 5 wheels would have just meant a too long wheelbase that would have not well performed in certain curves. But then again, we'll see the performance later on in the video. So now to the pushing locomotive. Again, as I mentioned earlier, here we have the front section. Again, for Z-scale model, I must say it is actually relatively nicely detailed. The tiny lamps, which actually work, small buffers, and their classic coupling system. However, here it's actually really different, and we'll see that also a bit later on, because here we have a different type of coupler. It's more like a fixed one, and what is actually included in the model is, I'll have to take that out of the box real quick. This small kind of fork with 2 ends. This is our connecting rod, basically, which is gonna be attached here to the front of the loco and to the back of the tender of the snowplow, which has kind of like a, you kind of see it here, a small kind of space for our small fork to fit in and actually attach it from loco to tender. Again, really nicely detailed, I must say, especially here the sides, the side pipes, and also the steam pump are really nice represented, I must say. Steam domes, everything is actually pretty correct. But then again, I do not know what kind of actual locomotive this is supposed to represent. So there is some freedom in terms of how detailed and how actually accurate it is with the real life thing. And again, really nice driving wheels. The spokes here, really nicely done actually. Also, the connecting rods here, really nicely done. We have a single axle in the front and a single rear axle. And you can also already see the small coils of the tiny engine, which is going to power this. Also, imprints, like the German railway logo, are really nicely done. They're really sharp. They're small, but they're sharp, and you can see them. And here we have our tender with a small representation of the coal. Again, actually pretty detailed, because that's especially in the HO scale sector, it's actually a problem with Marklin that the coals look, yeah, really just plasticky and not really nice, let's say so. But here it really looks like coal, which is really nicely done. The bogies, they're stiff, like this entire part here, when we see it's like a stiff frame. But the axles, I guess the axles can traverse lightly. Yeah, a little bit to the side again for curve performance. You can here already see it's kind of like a hook-on system that we have here with a tiny hole here, and you can just fill that in. This is the local. This is like the finished local build then, and then of course you also have to connect the fork and all the extra stuff. Yeah, there's some extra stuff to it, but once you got it up and you actually got it railed on, it's gonna be really nice. So let's get to the snowplow. Take that out of the box. So this is the snowplow. What I really loved about this model was just the functionality of the parts. As you may have seen already before, the shields, well, these are the small side shields of the model. You can open them like that with a small toothpick, and also the actual rotor blade actually turns, even like with considerable speeds, which is really nice. The top is rather simple though. Also the chimney, I would have wished that they could have actually done that in a more black color, let's say so. Maybe like with a bit more depth. But then again, overall, I think it's really good. Really good imprints though, especially on such a lined surface. Really nicely done, and it consists of bogies with 3 axles, but which can really turn around corners, giving the model a good track performance, a good curve performance. You're gonna hear a really nice door with smaller step ladder. The detailing is done really nicely for such a tiny model. And well, we have a small hole here. This looks like actually as if it would be the firebox. Yeah, so this could be actually the cab of the model, with really simply represented back of the boiler, like a back wall. I'm not sure how you call it in English. With of course that small firebox. Yeah, and you have here kind of a long opened kind of frame for the coupling of the tender, which you can really easily just put on like that. More of these kind of shielding features you can really see here in the tender, which are really really fun. You can really open the individual shields, all 6 of them, and inside also really nice coal. Like they did, I must say the tender, wow, is really nicely done. Like the coal and how you can see it looks really good. Like it has depth, and yeah, really nicely done. Also here you can already see, like just by my fingers, the small kind of doors for the water, the small flaps. If we close them, again here, pretty stiff bogie. Yeah, it's a stiff bogie, and like with slightly traversable axles, just like with the other tender. But yeah, nicely printed, and we will now see how it's going to perform on our track. So now we have the model on our layout, and let's see how it's going to perform. Again, you can probably hear the rotor of the rotary snowplow turning. Yeah, hard start, but it's running. What you do notice is, especially like when you take it out of the box for the first time, is that the loco itself is running really slow, kind of. for some reason. The engine was kind of running on really low RPM. But then after a few seconds, it actually started to kind of kick off, and then it really started to drive normally, pretty much with normal operation speed. So then again, the Loco is not really as responsive as a snowplow, so just gonna give it a little push. But yeah, when it's running really smoothly though. Again, little push. It's always a little bit of a hassle, so that would have to be improved. But yeah, it is amazing how the actual shovel rotates. Because the lighting can't really see that. And unfortunately, the lighting also does not really work. It's just represented, but the lights do not light up on the locomotive itself. That's maybe one thing that Marklin could have improved. And yeah, generally the running quality, you do need some kind of kickstarts for it, but when it's running, it actually runs pretty well. And that was it, guys. I'll see you in the next video.